All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the No CMO Podcast EP.7. I'm here with Pat, currently from the company PikMyKid, but he's done a lot of other things as well, especially in the ed tech field. Really excited to have you on, Pat. So if you could just kind of go through a little bit of your background and then talk about your current company as well.
Sure, Ryan. Thanks for the opportunity. Really excited to be here.
Anytime.
My background is as confusing as as you can have, but I didn't have I was not an ed tech background. I was neither a business background. I started in the Navy. I was a
Wow.
pilot in the Navy, and then I became first I was a deep sea diver, then I became a pilot, then I was a general service officer, retired about 10 years ago. Got out, bunch of ideas. What do I do? Start flying. I actually started flying for Southwest for just a few days, and I said, you know what, this is not me.
Wow.
So my first venture into business was I started a food concept, in a small trailer. When long before it was cool to have a trailer, it used to be called roach coaches those days.
Yep.
Fast forward 6 years, we built it to a franchisable concept and sold it to an investment group. Then started dabbling in real estate, managed services. We sold that business to another company, and just about the time in 2012 or 13, when I sold my businesses, I told my wife I'm going to take at least a few months off to clear my head and figure out what I want to do next. But you know how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll save the story for how I started PikMyKid.
Yeah, sure. So you basically said to yourself, I can't do this normal. I need to start things, build things. I need to solve problems. That was kind of your mindset, right?
Absolutely. And even while I was in the Navy for about 10 years, the same thing, like I can't stagnate in one job or one specialization. So I used to always, after about 2-3 years, I had to change myself drastically, reinvent myself. So I used to be a deep sea diver and specialist in that. And then I said, after about 4 years of that, I said, I want to go to something different. I started flying. So I became a fighter pilot in the Navy. And then kind of unique in the sense that I did both simultaneously, diving the same day and then flying the same day.
Wow.
So it was exciting.
Yeah.
But after about 10 years, it's like even that got boring. And I said, I got to get out and do something more.
There you go. And so you started, as you said, you started a couple companies and sold them. And then you were in a position where you're basically, what am I going to do next? Right. So that is when, I won't tell the story, but I'll have you tell it. But PikMyKid, it's a school safety company is what you would describe it as, right? Or
absolutely. The way it is today, it's a comprehensive school safety system for K through 12. So anything to do with safety comes under a single platform. We'll pull it all together, and an easy to use, single sign-on, fully integrated with your current systems in any school. So it's completely plug and play, no additional hardware, and end of the day, kids are safer. So that's what we are today in our current avatar.
And how did you end up starting that? How did that kind of come to fruition for you?
Sure. Like I said, when I sold my last business, I wanted to take a lot of time off and just want to clear my head. I'd been working 15-hour days, and I started traveling a little bit. I told my wife that, for 6 months at least, let me just travel. It lasted all of like maybe 2-3 weeks. And my wife was like, the least you can do is go pick up your daughter from school. And I said, yeah, that's not a problem. Pause my Netflix. How hard can this be? Jump in the car, go to my daughter's school. Absolute pandemonium, chaos, 100 parents shrieking, and end of the day, teachers running around with walkie-talkies. I'm like, this is insane. It is prime middle of the day, and 100 people are taking time off from work and wasting their time in a car line, picking up their kids. So it should be like mundane. There should be processes in place. It blew my mind, but I was like these hundreds of other parents, just go through it, right? Just cursing yourself and going through it. And one day I was going through it. I was on the phone, not really paying attention. The teacher opens my car door, puts a kid in my car, waves me away. as I was pulling out, I turned around. I'm looking at this white kid sitting in the back of my car.
This isn't my kid.
Yeah, and the worst part was that the kid was like looking at me saying, "Why are you stopping? Let's go. My dad sent you, right?" I'm like, "No, get the hell out of my car. Go find my daughter." So that's where it all came together for me that we are failing our children. We use systems and processes which we could do much better, and today's technology allows us to really do that in an inexpensive way, and we owe it to our kids to do better, do a better job. And the more I looked around, and I said, my instinct reaction was to blame the teachers, which was the furthest from the from the truth. They are doing their best every day, sunshine, rain,
very difficult
snow.
job. Yep.
It's a very thankless job. They're sitting outside, standing in the sun, yelling in walkie-talkies. They suddenly become traffic cops overnight, and parents are thankless. They just want their kid and they just want to get out of there, like me. But they don't realize the pain and the kind of problems they go through. So the more I looked at it, I realized, today's day and age, we're using walkie-talkies, clipboards, sticky notes, loud hailers, and hundreds of teachers to manage a problem, and you don't give them technology to do it. And that is where it started, a small project to help my daughter's school 4 years ago.
So, and it went,
yeah.
And so it's expanded from there, obviously, and became a company that's used by so many schools. So what were some challenges when you started?
Absolutely. The challenge was, like I said, the biggest competitor we had right from the get-go is tropophobia, fear of change. Right? They've done it so long using walkie-talkies, and the stakeholders are not held liable to change the process.
Exactly. That's not their job. Yeah.
That's not their job. In a sense, it used to blow my mind earlier on when I used to talk to superintendents. I used to, pull heaven and earth to get a meeting with the superintendent, and I get in the office with them. They're like, wait a minute, is there even a problem in our school system? I mean, they're so detached from the ground reality. They're so high up in the food chain that they don't know the struggles teachers go through every single day. And so many things slip through the cracks. And only when, I don't know if I can swear, only when shit happens, that thing goes up. Yeah, but that's the only time they get involved and they look at what processes we follow. So in every day there is so much room for improvement, and they were never held liable to improve the process because they had done that for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, this is how we do it. This is what we do. It works for us, but even if it works for them, it doesn't work well. So that's the
absolutely.
But you're right.
Absolutely.
It's so that must have been a challenge of, like, did you have experience? I know you said you dabbled in some real estate, but did you have experience selling? Like, did you have experience selling selling products or?
No. I was never a sales guy, so to speak. I was more of a creating value and get the professionals to sell it.
Yep.
But in the early days, you are the sales guy. You are the marketing. I'm still the marketing, but you are the product guy. You are the everything guy. So I was there in those sales meetings. I used to jump on a plane when even a single school wants to buy it. I remember going to New York, the first private school. That was a school in New York, and I was there like every single day for a whole week. But I still didn't get to manage. I still couldn't sell that sale, close the sale, and it's pretty disappointing. I came back and then we retooled it. We saw where the problems were, and we came back again, and we started selling at a trickle first, 1, 2, 3 schools. And we had a lot of problems. Go-to-market strategy was all wrong. Our marketing was wrong. Our value proposition was wrong. We kind of had to change and learn and fall and get back up and go ahead.
If you could go through that, what did you change about your marketing or your branding what was a problem and what was a solution to that problem when it comes to the marketing?
So one of the earliest go-to-market strategy for us, where we failed miserably was. We reasoned that, just to bypass this pain of selling to schools one at a time, we said we'll give it free to schools and let parents download an app for like $2 or $3, and then so they can, because they are the beneficiaries, right?
Exactly.
And they can download an app, they can use it. and the assumption was they won't bat an eyelid spending a couple of dollars for their kids' safety, right?
You would think.
And give it free to schools and problem solved.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our initial, oh my God, we just solved this sitting in my armchair. And we went to town with it, and we failed miserably because on one hand, we realized that just because we're giving it free to schools, they don't make our entry into schools any easier. So that part of the problem still remained. On the other hand, by letting parents pay for their downloads, we were actually creating barriers for adoption. Even though if it is a $2 download, but it's a barrier because parents today have a perception that when it comes to public education, everything needs to be free, and they're entitled to A to Z. I mean, they should not pay $2, but they can go and pay $4 in Starbucks, but
every day probably,
year for downloading an app is too much. And so we had a lot of headwinds there. We had barriers to adoption from parents because the core to our success in a single school, was 100% adoption by parents. And we were putting an artificial barrier to the adoption. So when we changed it out, we learned pretty quick in the first 6 months. We flipped it around. We said, we're going to sell to schools. We're going to give it free to parents. And the moment we changed it, we had a lot of friction in the sales process. But when we started improving our sales process and conveying the value proposition to schools, we saw a lot of adoption. And once the school got on board, overnight we see about 1,000, 2,000 parents downloading the app and really engaging with it. And then it really kind of clicked with that go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, because that affects the value of it as well. If you're saying, okay, you're going to the school, this is free for the school, the value that they perceive it as is different as if they bought it, right?
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Then,
absolutely. They have skin in the game, right?
Exactly.
Because usually when they buy a product like ours, it takes a certain amount. It's not a magic wand, right? It takes
there's implementation. Exactly.
Yeah. It takes at the core of every school's dismissal process or the safety process. There are about 8 to 10 people involved. Maybe the principal, vice principal, physical ed teacher, librarian, the technician, the IT guy, maybe the PTA president. There are at the core, there are about 10 people who need to be really engaged, need to know the product, need to train the parents, and really crack the whip for the parents who step out of line and really start questioning some processes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have the will to make the change and take a stand and really, put some policies in place, it's not going to be successful. And a lot of times we sold it to schools who, in our perception, we knew they were not ready or they were not willing to make the change, but they just wanted to buy something thinking it's a magic wand. It never worked. And they blamed us.
Wow, that's an interesting perspective. Yeah, that's an interesting perspective too, is having wow, this school really needs this, but these people, the willingness to change isn't there. And you see that, it's palpable. And then they adopt it, like you said, because they want a magic wand trick. They want, let's just spend this money and bang, snap of a finger, and it fixes our whole problem. Yeah, the implementation of every single person, even if, and obviously, and we'll probably go into some of the details, but whoever's involved, everybody has to be on the same page, even with this, even to simplify the process, right? Everybody still has to be on the same page. Yeah, especially with change.
Absolutely. Too. And we put some checks and balances as we learned there, is that, we don't, as of today, when a school comes on board, they pay the first year license fee upfront. And it's a non-negotiable thing. And they sign up the contract. It's only then do we launch. No free pilots. No, I'll get you 10 schools. I have 20 other buddies who come and buy your product. Everybody says that, but it never happens. It's not business sense. So those things we learned the hard way and we put it in place. And even after that, once the school is rolling out through their training phase and implementation, we don't allow that school to go live unless we see about 40 to 50% parent adoption. So if not, we will work with the school to make sure they communicate the right things to their parents to get them on board. Because we're only as successful as the parents adopting it and using it on a daily basis. So we have tools and techniques which we train the schools that, hey, you need to send this email out, this flyer out. Just educate your parents on safety and on the other aspects of it. And when they understand, they're going to download, but it takes some effort on your side. So we will not go live with the system in your school unless you do these checklists, you show the results. And that's when we realize that, today we have 97% retention rate, because when a school goes live through our process, they never go back. They're successful. This entire stakeholder is happy. The parents see the benefits, and they see quantum leaps in safety in terms of the overall aspects of it.
Yeah, and that's
we learned it the hard
yeah.
way. We didn't know it.
Yeah, I feel like you have to. I mean, especially with business, it's like it's just you're gonna learn by the lumps that you take. Another interesting point that you brought up is about the internal marketing inside of a school. Is like I don't read when I was in high school. I didn't read the emails. Like I don't have the time for it. What are they even saying, right? So that's another whole aspect. You are basically you're marketing. You're learning how to market your product. Now you're learning how to teach a school to market your product so their parents can use it, basically.
Absolutely.
Well.
And now those are the initial learning curves, and now we've moved much further from that time, wherein we've gone ahead and shown so much efficacy in terms of not just safety in schools, but the amount of traffic which is mitigated around schools. Amount of so the cities and local governments have started noticing that. So now they're willing to fund the schools to buy our product. 100% license fees paid by the DOT or the city, because in a macro perspective, we've proven that we reduce about 20,000 pounds of carbon footprint per school per year. We enable carpools. We encourage, we push parents towards carpooling. We reduce those traffic bottlenecks around schools. All those 100 cars waiting, we've just gone.
Yeah, I mean, wow, yeah. And also this could be used for like school dances and things like that too, or I could see that happening.
Yeah, school. I'm sorry, what was that again? School?
Oh, like a school dance, like a prom or something like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The field trips, proms, and these bring your grandpa to school day, and all these special events have more concentrated flow of traffic towards the school. So we are able to. So today, if you're a parent in our school, at 2:30, you will actually get an alert saying that the best suggested time to leave your house would be so and so, and what will be the minimum time you'll spend in car line, right? It'll show you how many cars are ahead of you, dynamically moving towards the school. So it'll take you how much time to actually get out after picking your child. It'll also tell you, depending on your routing pattern of the last few days, it'll tell you, hey, Johnny down the street has similar routing patterns. Would you like to talk to him to carpool? So we are actively taking cars off the road, pushing people towards carpooling, user greener options, and just reducing the congestion around schools. So it's, all around a good thing for not only cities, but schools, also parents. So
that's
kind of,
Oh no, yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but that is, it's I didn't even realize the like the implication of how far it could go of the routing patterns and anything. And I can't see why a city especially would not want to adopt something like this to clear out those traffic patterns and just get less cars on the road, less congestions, just more efficiency. Schools, I guess they're not, they don't know what they don't know, right? So they don't even understand that it could be this much better, this process.
Absolutely.
And so
much so that we are now part of a smart city initiative in partnership with Ford and Microsoft and Dell. They're going into several cities and touting our product as a smart city initiative, because for the first time, the cities are able to influence end user behavior to mitigate peak traffic rather than build infrastructure around peak traffic. Does that make sense? So you don't have to spend millions to build that infrastructure where you can actually influence end users, which are the parents, to actually tailor their behavior so as to reduce the traffic.
It's like part of the branding too is with most businesses is, the customers create the branding, the customers create the identity, and the people who care about it and use it the most, they're the ones who build your brand for you basically and put that imprint. So yeah, I completely get what you're saying is starting from rather starting than, like you said, from the principal, from the top, you got to start from the people who are going to be using it every day, because the people who are most connected and not disconnected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to transition a little bit, so do you have a marketing team, or what's your marketing look like currently?
For the first 3 years, the marketing team in our company is sitting in front of the camera now. So, you got to be skinny. I was doing it. Marketing, in hindsight, I should have had a marketing team earlier on, or somebody at least dedicated on marketing. But we were fighting other fires, and we were getting a steady stream of inbound leads, primarily on SEO. And so we didn't really focus much on a marketing team. Only about 6 months ago, we have got on board a CMO. She's junior level position, but who's growing with our company, and she's doing a fantastic job. But no, to answer your question, we didn't have a marketing team before.
So there was a lot. So a lot of the leads that came in were, I would assume, from other schools or schools that communicate with other schools.
So this goes back to our strategy, and
that's good to touch on too.
Yeah. When we started the company, and we were selling to 1 or 2 schools, just talking to them, and 10, 20 schools in the neighborhood, we really asked ourselves as to what will be the channel which will be best suited for us, right? And then we did some experimentations around that. And what we realized, I'm going to cut the long story short and how we went through the learning curve, but what we realized is we were such a new product category, and we were creating the space, right? So the only people who were open to even talking to us or adopting us were these innovators, early thinkers,
the early adopters,
principal early adopters with foresight, and they really fell in 2 buckets primarily. One is these early these innovators and thinkers, and who see ahead of the curve, and the second were people who had a tragedy happen in their school, and they're using us as a CYA tool, which is cover your backside tool. And they fell in these 2 categories, right? So what we realized is the more outreach we did, cold outreach, it had less than 0.03% chance of even having a conversation. But for the inbound organic calls we generated through our content marketing, we had over 30% close ratio.
Wow.
So on one hand, cold was 0.03, and we had 30% on inbound. So we said we'll drop all our eggs into creating this increasing the size of the top end of the funnel by inbound marketing. We did a lot of content, with a lot of just SEO, and anybody who's searching for us, we'll make sure they find us.
Yeah.
So we focused all our efforts towards making ourselves visible to the small slice of people who are really searching for us.
To get a little more detailed about the content marketing, was that like testimonial videos, or No,
earlier on we did not have even testimonials. I mean, it took us for a year, and it took us for the first round of fundraising to create a decent video, right? The first video I created, I remember, I went on Fiverr for about $100. We created this caricature, the cartoon videos which you see now has become pretty popular. So we created that, and we used that as a stopgap to just show the value proposition. But mostly it was, we did a lot of SEO. We did a lot of, our pitches where we're constantly pitching, and we're constantly in a few handful of trade shows, which gave us some exposure. But to say that trade shows a magic wand would be a misleading statement. It's not. But
it's just got a piece of the process.
It's just a piece of the process, and it's very difficult to measure the efficacy of that. But earlier on, we were just, blogs, a lot of content, with a lot of cross-blogging, a lot of content on our page, optimizing our pages to be visible if somebody's looking for it. We didn't spend so much on PPC, but SEO a lot.
SEO is big, yeah.
Yeah.
So what would, if say somebody's watching this and they have a product that is in a new market like yours was. What are some things that or maybe just like a tip or just a couple of things that they should know from your experience?
Sure. I would think, I mean, earlier on, I got some very great advice is that, what works for somebody else may not work for you. And each product is unique. You need to understand your customer in a very basic level. So run inexpensive experiments. What we did is we said, let's go to this like a virgin, right? We don't know anything. And I didn't know anything. Let's not assume that, our marketing is going to help, or SEO or PPM or just content or email marketing. Let's just assume we don't know what's going to work. And we said, we did a brainstorming session and we came up with 6 or 7, I don't remember, 6 or 7 channels we shortlisted. And then we put money into equal amount of money in each of those 6 channels. I think we put $1,000 on it and sat back and kept our discipline to run through the experiment for a month. And then we measured each one of those channels. And then we said, okay, this is where we're going to put all our money in. And the channel for us was outbound email marketing campaigns and brand awareness through content marketing. So these are the 2 channels we really, buttoned down, really doubled down. We dropped everything else for the next year and a half, and it worked for us. So it may not work for somebody else, right?
Sure.
So what I would suggest is to run those experiments through. For example, we ran an experiment, like for $1,000 we bought, I think a couple of conventions or a couple of speaking engagements, and then we sent actually $5 Starbucks gift cards with a QR code to every superintendent, how much ever those things could buy us, like the school leaders and principals. That was the worst performing metric for us. That is the worst performing bucket. Yeah. So it told us that physical outreach through some incentives or grabbing the attention did not work for us because they don't know our product in the first place. They're just seeing a $5 gift card. So the more you can somehow tie in and we did some social as well. We put some money in Facebook and, PPC, and then we did a bunch of these experiments. And then for us, the 2 of them, and it may be different for your people, listeners, but you need to go through that experimentation process.
Yeah, I think that's important to note that what will work for everybody is testing. Like everybody needs research and testing that will work. We know that, like it's not a magic thing. Like you said, you put $1,000 in ABCDE test and figured out what worked. That's probably the best advice is, do your research, find your market, right, and do the tests, which I think a lot of people, maybe brush over or have or just haven't spent enough time doing that. And I think that's really important. So like through experience, you learned that, right? Right.
Oh, absolutely. And through ignorance, I learned it.
There you go. That even better. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, as you would. Yeah. Cause that's really it. I mean, it's trial and error, right? It's a lot of it. So, what are some next steps for the company, or what are you working on currently, or anything that's coming up?
Sure. So like I mentioned earlier on, we started with dismissal automation in schools. So by dismissal automation, we mean that end of the day at 2:30, whenever the bell rings, the kids get out, go into cars, buses, the traffic jams, going to after school programs. The whole spectrum of after school dismissal is what we had managed through our product called PikMyKid. But as we started rolling out in hundreds of schools, the teachers and school districts, they came back to us and said, hey, we see your usage is through the roof, and we see 85% of our parents on our platform. We see 100% of the teachers use your platform every single day. Can you consider putting a small button on the bottom of your homepage, which they can click in terms of emergency? So we call that a panic button, alarm button. And it started a small project just to put a button there. And then as we started working that the whole backward integration through, we realized today it's a fully functional, independent digital panic button for schools, which they use pretty regularly for not only for active shooter or any major emergency, but for small things like fight in a hall. Johnny slipped off a slide, and all kinds of stuff, right? So the teachers have a ready to use button right on their phone, which they can call specific call groups in a very urgent manner if things were to go south, right? So that was the second product which we added. We call that safer panic button, school alarms for emergency response. That's the acronym. And then some schools said, hey, because of the parent usage, can we solicit information from parents if they find some concerning behavior in the community? And organically, that was a third product, which we call today is anonymous tip line, which is fully integrated with our system. So anybody in the community finds something disturbing or concerning, they're able to share with the authorities in a very confidential manner, either anonymously or otherwise. And actually, they'll be given a docket number so they can actually track their concern. They can see it to a logical conclusion as what is the results, what's been done, and all that. So when we have that in place, last year we surveyed our school community and said, what is it in the safety aspect which you find is the most challenging thing today? And what we consistently heard is that they find the biggest disconnect today is between the social media communication or the social media conversations happening among children and happening among teachers. They might as well be on separate planets because they don't overlap, right? You and me are older folks maybe on Facebook or maybe some other.
It's true. You have no idea what's going on, really. Yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah, the kids are. Your kids are in the newest. They are on Insta. They go into
that's
Snap,
their world.
And then
that's
now,
their world. Yeah.
Yeah, or they're now chatting on Fortnite or Reddit, or now TikTok is getting up, and but they keep moving, and that's a constantly shifting landscape, right? And if school leaders are now tasked with getting a grip on what the social media conversation is happening among children, so as to find potential concerning problems early before it becomes a major incident, right? They're held liable if they don't monitor it, but they don't have no tools to really monitor social media conversations without stepping on toes of children or something like that. So what we are working on now, which is really exciting, we're working with a team of engineers from Stanford and from Caltech, and they what it's called the smart feeds, social media analysis for risks and threats. We do that in a very light-footed manner without impinging on privacy of children or consuming any individual specific information. It only scans the school geofenced area for concerning behavior, only open source information, and certainly we have a lot of preconditions on it. But that's what we're working on. It should be live the coming school year, and we're really excited about that. We have a bunch of schools already doing some beta testing for us. Really excited for this tool because they want to do the right thing by their kids. They don't want somebody to slip through the cracks if they need help. And the tool would allow them to do that in a very responsible manner.
Yeah, that's and it's obvious that these people want what's best for the kids. They don't always we don't always know, right? They don't always know what the next best thing. And I think that's another really important thing through all of this that you've mentioned is also adaptation. Is the users are adapting your application. You're just there, you're there building facilitating that. But it's basically them saying, hey, we need this. This is the most important thing we need. And can you do it? And obviously you've taken on the role and you're in that position now. And I think it's great that you didn't go, all right, just made this company to help with dismissals, all right, on to the next one. It's a constantly building thing because this is very specific too, and it can save lives 100%. I mean, I could definitely see that.
Absolutely. And from the get-go, I mean, you brought up a valid point there is that, the only reason I credit our rapid growth in the school community is because we've been receptive to the teachers and the ground level operators who tell us what they want. Like, for example, when we started, our knee-jerk reaction was to, hey, let's just put some RFID, give them dog tags, kids will swipe, and we'll all be happy, go home. But the more we studied it, we realized that getting swipe cards or RFID or any other technology which is hardware intensive creates more problems for teachers than it solves, because now you're shifting the problems from one bucket to another bucket, right? Kids will, RFIDs, we've studied a few systems and it always fails because there are a lot of false positives and the management costs, and kids are kids. They'll jump on a car, jump off, jump on a car, jump off. So you can't have sensors and readers taking account of
and they're
all
gonna
that,
lose
right?
it. I'm gonna lose it,
They're
if
going
I
to lose it,
yeah.
and then you pay for it, and who pays for the renewals? And it's difficult to scale when. And another problem, what we heard from schools is that they hate it when outside companies come and load them with hardware they don't even need or they never use. And today, they're so top-down approach of shoving so much hardware down their throat that now it's funny that now when they go to these trade shows, they're no longer selling them tablets, but they're selling them this huge racks in which they can have 200, 300 tablets to plug in to charge, and they can lock it, right? That is the biggest selling item now.
I believe it.
And so we said, we'll do it responsibly. We said we want to create a system with zero dependencies on hardware. We won't sell them a single piece of hardware. And if we can pull this off without selling them anything other than just the software and a cloud-based system tapping into their existing Wi-Fi, I think we have a winning combination. That's why we went with it. And we think we'll pull that off.
And that's the differentiation too. And that's why you guys are different. And obviously, I don't think any other company is really doing anything like this. But two, I mean, like you said, how long they've been using walkie-talkies for like 20, 30 years, right? Like we have this technology. We have the ability. You had the ability to create a software like that. And why not? Why not get with the time? It's the future of it. It's safer. It works better. There's no downside. And there's a lot of downside to the walkie-talkie battery dying. So.
Oh, absolutely. And the cost is no brainer, right? I mean,
exactly.
For example, our annual cost for the entire system with all its bells and whistles and every parent having an app and instant communication and emergency, all these frills included is less than $5,000, right? Wow. For the whole year for more than any number of kids.
And hardware,
kids, 2,000 kids, don't matter.
So much.
Zero hardware.
Yeah, hardware.
Zero hardware,
so much
right?
more. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you look at the alternate, what they're doing today, a pair of walkie-talkies will cost you a couple of $1,000. The amount of paper they use to print car tags. Like, let me use this example. This is a laminated car tag, which my daughter's school used to send it to every parent. Laminated. They used to print about 2,000 of these in the beginning of the school year and send it to us. Just the cost of printing this justifies the cost of buying our system. So, the comparison is ridiculous.
No, you're right. It is really a no-brainer. And it's really been a blast talking to you. I think this company will. I'm really excited to see what your next implementation is and what the users need in 5 years, what they need in 10 years. And it's it's great. And I really appreciate you coming on here and explaining, some of the different challenges and approaches and talking about your company. It's going to be definitely it's going to help people. And that's what we're trying to do here on the podcast as well, is just, whether you're in ed tech or not. Obviously you weren't. And then, you're like one of the biggest players, arguably with your app, with your software.
I don't know about that, but
I mean, I said it, so it's okay. So thank you so much, Pat, for coming on. I think this is a great conversation, and we and you really are a wealth of information for this. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. A pleasure chatting with you, Ryan. And always I get fired up talking back at PikMyKid and how we started. And we're really passionate about making a difference and making kids safer, because we can do it at scale and we can make sure and we owe it to our kids. End of the day, like I tell my team, it's not about what we do, it's about why we are doing what we're doing. Like, as long as every member in our team is aligned towards the why of why we started the company, is to make kids safe. So we don't nickel and dime on the price points. If there's a title, in fact, bulk of our schools are Title I schools who cannot afford, these products, and we make sure that we find ways in which it can work for them. We find grants out there, get corporate sponsors, we get PTAs to fund it. So we'll find the means if the school is committed to making the kids safe, we would go the extra mile to make it available to them. So.
Wow, it's amazing. Really great work. I'm extremely interested and impressed by it. And once again, this has been a great podcast. It's going to be great for everybody. And so where can it's PikMyKid.com, right? I'll throw it up on the screen right here as well.
Yeah.
And in the show notes.
PIK is PIK. PikMyKid. Yep. And we're kind of now building PikMyKid around Kidio. Kidio is our new site. Kid.io. It's everything to do with kid safety. And PikMyKid is a product under Kidio. So under PikMyKid. So sorry, PikMyKid is a product under Kidio. So,
gotcha.
But, branding, marketing, it's never ending game.
You're right. It never stops, and it's always changing too. And that's another reason we're doing this too, because the landscape is forever evolving, right? So, but great. Absolutely. We'll throw all the links in the show notes. And anytime. Thank you for coming on. So this has been No CMO Podcast EP.7 with Pat. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, it's Ryan again. I just want to let you know of a very important event that's being hosted by You Don't Need a CMO this month. I'm going to throw it up on the screen right here so you can get a visual. The link will also be in the show notes. So this is called Social Growth 101, Everything You Wanted to Know. It's happening July 30th, 2019 from 6 to 9 p.m., 30 West 44th Street, New York City, New York. A little bit about the event. If you're thinking about turning your blog, YouTube channel, or any other social platform into more than just a small side hustle, this event is for you. We'll give you the best strategies in 2019 to grow a massive following on Instagram. This is for influencers who already have a following as well. It's for both. And if you already have a following of over 25,000, your ticket will include introductions to 10 key influencers and celebrities, as well as 5 different brands. So we're going to cover how the Instagram algorithm works, paradox of advertising and why you must spend money to make money, the importance of off-site links in building your profile, and the basics of Instagram analytics, how to evaluate your results without an agency. So once again, folks, this is Social Growth 101 happening July 30th. Be there. The registration fee is $85, but it includes an open bar. This is an event you do not want to miss, guys. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.